Let's talk about the most overlooked ingredient in cocktails, ice. Specifically, clear ice. Today, I'll show you 3 easy ways to make clear ice at home. I'll also give you the pros and cons of each method. The first method is using only an ice mold. The second method is using the ice chest, and the third method is the lazy method. I use this method the most. There's no effort, there's no boiling of water, there's no purifying water, no ice chest, you don't have to make space in your freezer, you don't need expensive equipment, you only need 2 items you already have in your house. One of them is a knife, and you really don't even need that. I've been trying to teach my kids how to make coffee for years, but it only took me 23 seconds for me to teach them how to make clear ice using the lazy method. I'm sure you'll learn something new. So you can skip to the end, but I'd rather you watch it all. I could really use the view time. When talking about cocktails or even drinking spirits on the rocks like whiskey and tequila, all the focus generally goes towards the spirits, sugars, bitters, and fresh juice. But water, mainly in the form of ice, is often overlooked. You might be thinking, what's the point? Water is water. Well, roughly 30% of your cocktail is water from ice that was shaken and stirred into your drink. And many cocktails are served on ice. Maybe you are just drinking a vodka and soda. Maybe you got your favorite bourbon and you're just pouring it on a large rock. Do you really want some crappy ice ruining the perfection of that $100 bottle of whiskey? The cloudiness in ice are imperfections caused by air, minerals, and other things that aren't pure H2O. Clear ice, on the other hand, is pure frozen water. Okay, let's be honest. One of the main reasons we want clear ice is because it looks amazing. Visually, we're already tasting our drink even before a drop of liquid crosses our lips. Spirit-forward cocktails like the old-fashioned look fancier than a hotel heiress carrying a tiny dog in a purse. And it should be a sin to pour your milk clarified cocktail on ice that's not clear. In order to make clear ice, it's pretty handy to know a little science behind it. But I'll try to make it as quick as possible. When water starts to freeze, it pushes impurities out into the water. Think about a lake freezing. Ice crystals start to form slowly, pushing impurities out, and also because ice is less dense than water, the crystals float to the top. Layers of clear ice start to form at the top of the lake while the impurities are being pushed out to the bottom. Think about the ice in your freezer. Your freezer ice is designed for quick freezing. As the water freezes, it pushes the impurities into the center of the cube. With nowhere for these impurities to go, you end up with cloudiness, fractures, and bulging. So in order to make clear ice at home, we'll be using the directional freezing method, which is basically using a container that's insulated on all sides but the top. This will make the water freeze clear at the top and the impurities to be pushed down to the bottom. Let's make some ice. The first method is using an ice mold, which can be problematic. These things are basic giant insulated bowls with ice trays that sit on the top. You fill the basin with water, sit the tray on top so the water flows into the mold, then you throw it into the freezer for about 24 to 48 hours and you should have clear ice where the water froze in the molds. Pros are, it's pretty simple. The cons are, they're bulky. They can be expensive, and worst of all, they don't work that well sometimes. Here's some examples. This one is one of the better ones I use. It works pretty well. It's priced at about $50, but it takes up a lot of freezer space, especially to only make 4 spears every 36 hours, and sometimes I still have tiny imperfections in my spears. This one also did okay at first, but it cost over $100, took a huge amount of space in the freezer, but made 7 spears in 36 hours. Biggest problem with this one was the design part of the rubber, especially the thin parts. And now I get these large abominations of ice, and many times I have to scratch the whole batch because the bottom fell down and I have a whole block of ice. And then there's this one. In theory, it should make clear ice, but it just doesn't do a great job. If you're going to buy an ice mold, look for one with a deep basin and styrofoam insulation. You will be stuck with that one size in shape of the mold. To get a variety, you'll have to buy others. And with the durability and the price, you could spend over hundreds of dollars on a closet full of equipment that doesn't always work. These next 2 methods are hands down the best, especially the last one if you want great results without any effort or a bunch of money. Method number 2 is the ice chest method. Pros are you can make a lot of clear ice in whatever size shape you want and it's cheap. Cons are you need some freezer space and you have to do a little work. For this one, you'll need an ice chest. I got this little 5-quart one for $14 off of Amazon that's perfect for my small freezer. Fill it with water, but not all the way to the top. You can use filtered water or hot water, but you don't need to, and I'll show you why. Also, warm water could ruin your freezer food if you are not using a separate freezer for just ice. After filling my ice chest with water, I leave it in the freezer for about 24 hours. It might even take 48 hours depending on the size that you're using. After that 24 hours, I'll take my ice chest out and let it sit for about 30 minutes to temper the ice. Okay, so my water is so far from being pure. Sometimes it even comes out brown. There's actually a yellow tint and you can see minerals and sediment, which brings me back to not having to use filter water because the water on top is pure and clear while the imperfections get pushed down to the bottom. After 30 minutes of letting your ice temper, which is getting the temperature of your ice closer to the point of water freezing, you can work on it. If your ice looks clear and wet, then it's tempered. If it looks dry and frosted, it's too cold and it will crack when you work on it. You can do this next part in a sink or grab a pan and flip your ice chest upside down. Work the ice chest if needed and the top half of the clear ice will fall out along with the water on the bottom. And boom, you have clear ice. You can run some water or use a knife to round out some of the rough edges. Only the top should be frozen, but if you do leave it in too long and the bottom freezes all the way through, that's no problem. We can just cut it off and still have a large block of frozen clear ice. Now we can make ice into whatever size or shape we want. I like using the glass I'll use the ice in to get a measurement. All you need now is a knife, preferably with a serrated edge and something to whack the back of it with. I personally really like using a hacksaw. Take your knife, slide it back and forth across the ice to score a nice little groove where you want to cut the ice. You can do both sides. Once you've made the grooves, tap on the back of the knife and split the ice. Continue to score your ice to get the perfect size and shape of ice that you want. If you have time and skill, you can cut a diamond. I am not one of those people though. Once you're done cutting, you can save your ice in the freezer and use it whenever you want. Finally, the third method, the lazy method. And the only thing you need is an insulated travel cup. Yep, that's it. Something like a Yeti cup or this $5 one from Target. Fill it up about 2/3 of the way with water, sit it in the freezer for 24 hours, take it out, let it sit for 15 minutes. I sit mine on this divider in the sink, and then I take a little knife, help wiggle the clear ice out, and it's as simple and easy as that. Boom, you have clear ice. Oh, and of course, you can shape it to your glass just like in method 2. So here's the thing that trips me out. I was watching this show called Most Expensivest with 2 Chainz, and in one episode he talks to a man selling the world's most luxurious ice. He's selling that single ice beer for $5 a pop. It's molecularly the same thing that you can make in your freezer at home. Don't let marketing get you. Also, if you want to learn more about the science of ice and the science of cocktails, I highly recommend you pick up Liquid Intelligence by Dave Arnold. Have fun, try something new, and just have a drink.